The spark that drove the transformation here at Vento for me was my first year 5 years ago. I hadn't worked in an EBD environment before, and when I saw what was going on here, I saw a lot of anxiety in the building, not only students but staff as well. There just wasn't enough love in this building. And I saw us reacting to behavior as a choice and not approaching behavior as a symptom of whatever's going on in the child's life. I knew very little about trauma-sensitive work back then, but I knew we needed to do something different. One of the big misperceptions really about public education is our job to focus on academics and academics only. And if we don't focus on mental health as well, kids are not going to learn. I mean, I think today more than ever, our kids are experiencing more trauma, and what we know is when kids are experiencing trauma, they physiologically cannot learn. And so if their cortisol levels are spiked at that time, they're not going to learn. And so one of the, I guess, misperceptions would be that it doesn't matter what's going on. If you focus on math, reading, writing, science, you'll push kids to high achievement, and it's not necessarily true. They have to be ready to learn, and that's one of our school-wide expectations here, being ready to learn. And if kids aren't ready to learn, we'll do whatever we can to get kids ready to learn. We have to meet them where they're at, and one of our core values here is the whole child development.
I think another misperception is too that kids who have experienced a lot of trauma are irreparably wounded, when in fact they may be a little more fragile, but they have managed to survive and sometimes even thrive in spite of all of that. And if they've got the right kind of supportive environment, despite the traumas, they can do very well. And the brain is it's an amazing organ, and it can change and grow beyond the trauma. I would really like this model to be the standard in schools. I think one of the things that really makes this school unique is the value that teachers and administrators place on relationships. And kids thrive and learn better when they have good relationships with people in the school. So I would like to see that spread far and wide in our school district, that's not an add-on, that's basic and core. One of the questions that often comes up is, how much did this cost? Mm-hmm. And we don't have a lot of money. Well, we got the grant, but this really was very cost effective because we had so many players who gave of their own time. There were expenses associated with the garden and buying paint for some things, but room and board gave the furniture for the teacher sanctuary. The College of Design got a grant to buy the round tables in the dining hall. We had somebody donate soil. Bachman's gave us things at cost. So there were just a lot of community and university people who participated in this without asking for payment. That reflects the benefit of knowing who your partners are and asking for what you need.
I think buildings that want to take on this transformation, they really have to hold up the mirror and check their own mindset, and shifting that, viewing behavior as a choice to viewing behavior as a symptom of what's going on within your life. I don't think there's a person at Vento that hasn't changed their mindset coming in that 5-year transformation.
And I think it has to start at the top. I think if the principal or principal and assistant principal are both committed to learning about the impact of trauma, learning strategies for working with kids who are responding to trauma triggers in the classroom or in the dining hall. I think that's key to creating change in a school. One of the areas that he has helped me tremendously is on systemic racism and privilege. And I think in our schools today, particularly urban schools where there's a lot of diversity, that's sometimes a topic that we tiptoe around, and it could impact the way we see certain kids' levels of achievement.
Public schools have been historically a place of institutional racism. So we have to understand that as our parents come in to a place that may have burned them when they were kids. And now they're sending us their babies with it's not a choice.
Right.
If there was a choice, they probably wouldn't send their kids to public education because of their own lived experience. But they do. And so how do we provide that safe and predictable environment when they come in?
When kids are heavily stressed, their behavior regresses. And so for people to understand that this is an 8-year-old acting like a 5-year-old, to look at what's going on that may be causing this student undue stress. Beginning to just see things through a different lens rather than, oh, there's something wrong with this kid, but maybe there's something wrong happening in this child's life.
To love kids unconditionally with an unwavering belief. At least when I was teaching, there used to be, I remember hearing it all the time, you fake it till you make it. And the problem is kids know when you're faking it. If you don't love them unconditionally, they know it.
And if you're not authentic.
If you're not authentic about it, if you are authentic and you do love kids unconditionally, it doesn't mean they're never going to swear at you or not hit you, but they also know the next day you're going to give them a fresh start and you're just going to be behind them 110%. I tell my staff it every year. I tell the kids every year, it's our job to love them. It's their job to love each other. And when you build that culture, that unconditional love in a school, it permeates. It flows through everything that you do.
I think a lesson I'm still learning is that everybody is really doing the best they know how to do. People and students may make bad decisions, but what have been the experiences that have informed the way this person responds as a parent or as a child in a classroom? So rather than blaming parents or blaming students, to understand they're doing the best they can at that given moment. So if we try to avoid judging them and finding ways to support and nurture them, model for them the behavior that we want to see, that goes a lot longer.
We are a trauma-sensitive environment, and we're always trying to learn more, and this year we're focused on mindfulness. Mental health, we're really trying to change the narrative on mental health too, is mental health is good for all of us. It's just like physical health. We work out to maintain our physical fitness, and we need to take care of ourselves mentally as well.
I think you've created a culture here that is self-perpetuating. It feels good, and so people want to keep doing what they're doing.
When we talk about the transformation of Bruce Vento over the last 5 years, we always say, well, we can't pinpoint. We've actually said, well, it was this student when they left, or when we got this, but truly though, if we were going to pinpoint one thing that it was this partnership. It was this partnership that created so much for this school. This partnership created the trauma-sensitive PD. It created our mindset. It created family innovations. It created the calming room. So all these things spilled over from this initial partnership between Bruce Vento and Ms. Myers and the Children, Family, Youth Consortium.